Hey, I'm Anna Poole, and I am doing a lesson on literary elements for first grade. It's going to be a 15-minute lesson. My professor is Suzanne Strader, and there are a total of 16 regular education students in my class with 4 504 students and 2 special education students. The teacher will describe characters, settings, and major events in a story using key details. And this main standard is RL.1.3. And the purpose and the importance of this lesson is to prepare students to be able to describe literary elements from a book. So we want them to know plot, setting, characterization, all those different ones. And even though today is just a segment of those, a few of them, we're just going to go over a few of them in the 2 activities that I have planned. They are going to get a general overview of kind of every type of literary element, not just in this lesson, but in the lessons to come. So, yesterday we learned about the different types of literary elements. So, yesterday we learned about all the different kinds. Then today we're going to learn how to describe some literary elements from a book that I have chosen to read. And then tomorrow they will learn how to compare and contrast the adventures and experiences of characters in a story. So they're going to take it up a notch with their characterization, because we go over characterization in this book, but tomorrow they're going to do more in-depth characterization, like comparing and contrasting the different characters in the book. This book that I have today, it is kind of one main character. There's also another character in there, but it's not really a good book choice for comparing and contrasting the 2 characters, which you still could, but it's not like in-depth, like there's not much to put compare and contrast of these characters. So that's why tomorrow they will be doing that. So I'm going to begin the lesson by reading my book that I have picked out, and it is Memory Jars by Vera Brosgol. It is a very good book. Everybody loves this book. I got it from our local library, and it is a Caldecott honoree. This book is, so everybody was really familiar with it. And after I read the book, during when I'm reading the book, I'm going to ask questions that pertains to the book and its literary elements. So, I'm going to read the book. Sorry, let me get situated. Memory Jars by Vera Brosgol. I don't know if you can see. Let me just get back. Okay. On a hot, sweet, sticky July day, Freda went blueberry picking with her gran. Deep among the bushes, full of fat blue fruit, Freda ate as many as she picked. They tasted like sweet sunshine. They were the best right then, and they'd never be better. She ate until her fingertips were purple and her stomach felt like a giant blueberry. But still, there were so many left. I can't do it. I can't eat them all, moaned Freda. Calm down, French fry, said Gran. We can put them in a jar and save them. I use them for my special jam every year. It was your grandpa's favorite recipe. Freda remembered her grandpa eating toast every morning with glossy purple jam on it, making sure it was spread all the way to the crust so every last bite was sweet. Freda remembered her grandpa. So if we save the berries in the jar, they'll be just as good? Asked Freda. Yes, said Gran. The jars keep them preserved for a long time so we can eat blueberries in January if we like. Freda had an idea. She tried her idea out on one of Gran's fresh chocolate chip cookies. It was very, very hard not to eat it. She put the cookie jar under her bed and said goodnight to Gran. And then she sort of slept. The next morning, she checked, and it had worked. The cookie would be warm and yummy forever. She had saved it. Freda wondered what else she could save. She was going to need a lot more jars. Freda saved all kinds of things. Warm cookie, new stuffed animal with the tag still on, Halloween candy, unbroken robin's eggs, poppies, unscuffed Snickers, rocket pop, unmelted, and brand new crayons. Freda didn't want Jack, her best friend on the entire planet, to move to Arizona at the end of the month. Neither did he. And now he wouldn't. Mrs. Alexander's beautiful singing voice drifted over the neighborhood as it did every Saturday afternoon, straight into one of Freda's jars where the song would live, safe and never ending. The cloud that looked just like a unicorn would never be pushed back into a mushy nothing by the wind. The laser bright rainbow would never dim as the sun moved. The full moon, her favorite shape, would never fade away and leave the sky empty and dark, making Freda feel alone. She took the stars while she was at it. Finally, Freda's favorite things were tucked away in jars. Everything would be saved and safe, just the same, forever. Almost everything. She's trying to put her granny in the jar. Okay, something. Please? Well, all right, French fry. Anything you like. So Grandma went in the jar willingly. See? The neighborhood was very quiet as Freda and Gran went home. All that saving had made Freda hungry. She has so many jars in her house. Crunch! The toast was warm and crunchy, but it was missing something sweet. She spread the jam all the way to the edges. It tasted like she's remembering all the different memories Freda remembered. She let her Gran out the jar. On a cold, blustery day in December, Freda had breakfast with her Gran. Oops, we ran out of jam, said Gran. Don't worry, said Freda. We can make more next summer. Then she took a bite. It was delicious, just like she remembered. The end. It also has the blueberry jam recipe in the back, which I did not make the recipe, but I promise you I did take a picture of it and probably will be trying it because it really kind of looks really good. But I thought this book was very cute and it was really a good story. So when I'm reading that book during that time, I'm going to ask the students, like, what is the setting for the story? And who is Freda, what happened to her in the story, and who is talking in the story. So then we kind of put in point of view. So they can kind of get to know about that and tell me what the point of view is of the story. So I'm going to be doing observations. I want the class to be paying attention to me when I read the story. I want them to be focusing in on it. And I want to be getting more responses after I ask the question. And we're going to be doing that as a whole class. So then for the review, it is one of my activities. I went ahead and did the review for one of my activities. And the review is the main character of the story by doing the picture of the character activity. And the learner will get into partners, name a character in the story, and write the name in the center square of the student sheet, and then illustrate the characters. So then the learner then will write words that describe the character's appearance and actions in the frame on the student sheet. Then the teacher will evaluate each group's work and then discuss the characters as a whole class. So this is my character worksheet right here. So in this slot right here, you'll put the title of the book, you'll put the author of the book, you'll write the name of the character right here, and you're supposed to draw a picture of the character. I didn't draw a character picture, but if I was to draw a character in the picture, I would either do Gran or Freda, which most students are probably going to pick Freda to do because she is the main character. But they also could do Gran. She was in there. She took part picking the blueberries, so they could do her too. And in the outside edges, they're going to be doing actions also, like what did Freda do? She picked blueberries. She put all of her things in a jar. She made different memories by making memories and put them in the jars. And she made jam with Gran. So those are just some things that they could add on it for that. And that's the review. And as they review that, I'm gonna let them do that in partners. And then we're gonna discuss as a whole class. Because I want to be able to see if some students are gonna say Freda, some students are gonna say Gran. There wasn't really many other characters in there except her friend and the grandpa, but they were just add-ins, like they weren't important. They didn't really have much talking or say. So most of the students are gonna do Freda because she is the main character and they're first grade students. So my main activity is going to be about plot. So I have a story sequence organizer, sorry, and I will be giving the students a student sheet and pencils to start this activity. And the student sheet looks like this. It's just title, author, and then plot, beginning, middle, and end, just straight up on the paper. So the learner will review what the teachers read aloud and write the title and author on the student sheet. Then the learner will identify events which took place in the beginning, middle, and end of the story and write descriptive sentences in each of the corresponding sections of the student sheet. The learner will continue this activity till the student sheet is complete, and the teacher will then evaluate the students' answers and review them as a class. Then I'm going to take this paper up as a grade, even though that they're doing it independently. And then at the end, I'm going to put the sheet on the board and we're going to go through all the different things, because there's going to be different things that the students say. You know, at the beginning of the story, what happened at first? She did pick blueberries at the beginning. She also had the memory of her grandpa at the beginning. In the middle, what happened? She put things in jars. She put her friend in a jar. There's different things that they can put. And at the end, what happened? The grandma got out of the jar. Her and the grandma ate toast in December with the jam. And like there's different things like that distinguish the beginning, middle, and end. So there's a lot of different options that the students can pick. And so I would put this paper on the board and we would like just do a bullet for each little thing that they think that happened in the beginning. But then we're going to also pull back into the main thing that I would say was the beginning, middle, and end of the whole story, which kids are not going to think that much into it, but they're also going to have different answers. So I'm going to let them do that individually, and I'm going to take that up as a grade, and we're also going to just go over that as a class. So my closure for this activity, it's actually it's kind of a part 2 of the plot. It still is the plot. Let me see. So my closure the teacher will allow the students to get into partners to do the folded story organizer. This is the story folded organizer. And what they would do is they'd cut it out around the edges, but I'm just going to fold it as a whole piece. They're going to fold it like this. My fold's not very good, but it's okay. I can't stand that. Hang on. Okay. So then they're going to cut up right here, and those are going to make into flaps. And they're going to be the beginning, middle, and end. And they're going to get inside the flap, and they're going to write on the top part the beginning, middle, and end, what they think. And they're going to also draw a picture for the beginning, middle, and end to just distinguish what that is. So they're going to cut their paper out and fold it on the dotted lines. Then they will lift each section, write sentences, and draw a picture that corresponds to the beginning, middle, and end of the story. And as they're doing that, I'm going to ask them some questions about the story. So I would ask, why did Freda want to save all of her stuff? What did Freda realize at the end of the story? So those are kind of 2 questions that are kind of based off the theme of the story, I would say. Because, you know, she wanted to save all her memories until she realized when she ate the jam on the toast that memory was already there in her mind. It brought her back to that memory. So she didn't have to save all the jam in the jar to always remember that memory. So that's just kind of like the theme of the story. Like, you don't have to save everything, you know, in the jar. So that would kind of be like, what did Freda realize at the end of the story? What did, you know, her character at the beginning was all for saving everything, and at the end, her prospect, her perspective of it changed completely. So I want the students to be able to work through that and talk to me about it and give me oral responses as to why they feel that, and then we'll loop it into the theme of the story. Okay, and so that was the end of my lesson. So for the homework, the students will review the definitions of the different types of literary elements such as plot, setting, characterization, theme, and style for an upcoming vocabulary quiz. Because it's kind of like a unit, I would say, because it's a lot of literary elements that they have to know. So it could be drawn out over a week, 2 weeks, if you need more time, But I want them to know the definitions of what plot is, theme is, characterization, like each thing, and I want to have a vocabulary quiz on that. So that would just be a study at home for homework. So some HOTS questions, excuse me. Some HOTS questions is, where is the story happening and how do you know? What would you change in the story and what do you think could have happened next? So these are some questions that really get them thinking. I want them to be able to tell me what they think that could have happened, and there's so many different things that could happen in books, so many different ideas, people, they may not have thought that was going to how the book's going to end, and I think it's a good thing to let students be able to express what they thought it was going to be, and I want to hear their side, because my thoughts and everybody's thoughts are going to be different. So students who need accommodations will be given visual demonstrations, one-to-one contact for at least 10 to 20 minutes every day, seating to reduce distractions, and fewer repetitive test items. And early finishers can do the comic strip creation for the plot of the story, which is this, and it's literally just the plot thing again, but this is strictly just illustration. So they can make 6 different things, 6 different items that came out of this book that they remember, and they'll just color it and draw it for me, and that just gives them a little something to do if they finish early. If the students need remediation, they will be allowed to practice more by coming to my desk and going over the plot and characterization with the story with me. I know a lot of times that we do things as a whole class, and we do discuss it in front of the board, in front of whole class, but you have some students who don't pay attention, some students who get distracted real easy. Sorry. And so I want to be able to help those students who need a little extra help to be able to come to me and have just one-on-one time. I think that's just the easiest thing to do. And I will know that the students had their outcomes with these activities by immediate feedback, the vocabulary quiz, the peer evaluations, and the literary element review that we've been doing. And so that'll help me know that they understood the lesson and that they were all on the same page. And that is it. Thank you.